Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today I cannot speak. I've attempted to record this 2 times now, and both times I've flubbed so often that I've had to scrap both recordings. So for this one, we're just going to power through. So I apologise now for the absolute train wreck that you're about to witness. I might edit the worst ones out, or I might just keep them in and claim it was all part of... Now, I keep getting told off for this. I've been saying Tzinch. I keep getting told off. Apparently it's not Tzinch, it's just Tzinch. Just Tzinch, there's no T. So I'm going to say that, even though it goes against every fibre of my being. And if someone corrects me and says it's the other way around, I'm going to flip my shit. So don't do it, okay? I'm doing as I'm told for this one, and I'm pronouncing it differently. So, over the weekend, we talked about the big reveal that Games Workshop had, about the fact that there is now going to be a Codex Adeptus Custodes. I'm still not going to pronounce that right, though, because I just can't stop pronouncing it incorrectly. It's fine, whatever. And a few people were like, hang on a second, hang on. You've done a video about the fact that it's going to be Custodes, but you haven't mentioned Thousand Sons. Thousand Sons are getting their own codex. They are getting Codex Heretic Astartes, Thousand Sons. Why are you not talking about that? Well, because that is a subject for its own video, because it's cool for a couple of reasons. Xenos players, don't worry, I'm also going to do a video about why you are dissatisfied, because I know you are, and I sympathise wholeheartedly. That's its own discussion. Thousand Sons. Now, this is cool for a couple of reasons. It's cool because Thousand Sons are getting their own codex, which I like. I like the idea of that. And also, there's stuff in there that they didn't have access to before, which is allowing for... It seems more of a crossover between demon armies in Age of Sigmar and demon armies in Warhammer 40,000, in that you will now be able to take Zangor Shaman and Zangor Enlightened, which is neat, because you actually get to use those models in both games now. I'm pretty sure that that before you weren't allowed to take Zangor Shamans or Zangor Enlightened. You'll also be able to use the Mutalith Vortex beast thing, which is mental. It's crazy. I'll stick a picture of it up there. I'll be honest, I've not really seen that. I don't think I've seen that model before at all, because I'm not Age of Sigmar or Warhammer Fantasy. If it was even Warhammer Fantasy to begin with, I don't know whether it was in that system or not. But there's been an expansion of what you can take, and this fills me with hope, because this means that Thousand Sons are getting the Death Guard treatment. You know, you've got a nice crossover of units from the 2 different games. You've got additions to the Thousand Sons. They can now field more stuff, which is brilliant for them. It expands their options, makes the army a bit more flexible, and just gives you more stuff to work with. Those are all great. But what makes me really excited about this is the fact that we now have two codexes that follow very similar patterns. So we had the Death Guard Codex, which obviously had the release of new models and stuff. Now, Thousand Sons wasn't going to get that, and it wasn't going to get that because Thousand Sons have only recently had an update. You know, you actually have Thousand Sons specific units, and these are kits that have not been around for all that long. So there wasn't going to be a big thing of, here's a bunch of new Thousand Sons units, so to speak, because they didn't need to produce new kits. But there are now 2 codexes that deal with traitor legions that tie them specifically to their respective gods and allow you to field them as their own individual armies, incorporating demons from those gods into them. So, you know, we had the big Death Guard release, we've got loads of new Death Guard kits, and they can be fielded alongside noble demons easily. Really easily, which is great. We also have now the Thousand Sons Codex, wherein you can field them alongside Tzinch demons. I'm saying it right now, I'm trying to say Tzinch right. I keep trying to say Tzinch, but I keep getting told off, so I'm going for it. Don't tell me it's the other way around, I'll flip my shit. But the thing that's exciting me is not the fact that Thousand Sons have got it, it's that we now have an established pattern for traitor legions that have specific ties to specific gods. Because this means that we are way closer, way closer to having a codex for Emperor's Children and having a codex for World Eaters. Now this is what I'm really hoping for. Whether this comes to pass or not, I do not know. It would make sense because it would follow the pattern that we're seeing with the Death Guard of the Thousand Sons. They have their own books, they have their own kind of neat little integrations. I mean, looking at it now, with 2 of the traitor legions having this style, this format of release, it does not seem unreasonable in any way that we wouldn't see the same for Emperor's Children. So we could conceivably, feasibly, maybe this year, but maybe early next year, we could well see a full-on Codex Heretic Astartes Emperor's Children, whereby we get new sculpts for the lot. They get the Thousand Suns treatment, they get the Death Guard treatment, we get new, we get new Noise Marines, we get new HQ options, we get Emperor's Children Terminators. We could actually see a full-on release that not only has a completely rebooted line of models for Emperor's Children, but also allows you to field them alongside Slaneshi demons, which would be absolutely quality. Exactly the same thing for the World Eaters. Now, I mean, the World Eaters and the Emperor's Children are both relatively underrepresented, I want to say, in terms of releases from Games Workshop, and have been for a while. I know that a while ago we did have the, what was it, Khorne Demonkin Codex, but that wasn't World Eater specific. That was, to me, that was quite an odd codex. I don't know whether other people found it odd, whether it was just me, but I sort of looked at that and went, why is that not a why isn't it a World Eaters Codex? Obviously the World Eaters have been shattered into 1,000 different factions, or at least warbands, same as pretty much every other Legion, in fact, apart from the Black Legion, who have managed to stay relatively together, and kind of the Word Bearers as well, although there's plenty of infighting there. If you read the Word Bearers trilogy, it seems like half the casualties the Word Bearers suffer is because Corfair and Erebus are busy being dickheads to each other and just fighting each other all the goddamn time. But I feel like the Khorne Demonkin Codex was almost like a prototype for what we eventually saw for the Death Guard Codex and now the Thousand Suns Codex. And Games Workshop has evidence now that this stuff works. People are excited for Thousand Suns, they're excited for Death Guard. Death Guard have done really, really well. You cannot move for pictures of people's Death Guard armies on any forum or any subreddit or whatever. It's all over the shop. People are loving it. Which kind of lends support to the idea that it would make sense to do this for each one of the traitor legions. Now, we've also had the rumours about Demon Primarch Fulgrim being the next Demon Primarch to come out. Again, if that was towards the end of the year, or the beginning of next year, I could totally see a crazy kind of unified launch where you end up with Demon Primarch Fulgrim, you end up with new Noise Marines, you end up with standard Emperor's Children troops as well to go along with them, because they're not all Noise Marines. That would be weird. That would require a severe alteration to the fluff, because it would just be like, oh yeah, all Emperor's Children are Noise Marines now. No, that's not how it works. Also, you'd have to have Terminators, because there'd have to be equivalent releases between the different factions. Now, to be honest, at this point, I kind of feel like Thousand Suns didn't get quite as much as Death Guard did. Although, they did have things like the Zangors, which, as far as I'm aware, didn't really exist before the first iteration of the Thousand Suns sort of re-release. And so in that respect, I suppose they have kind of got a significant update in that sense. It kind of feels odd that they don't have their own vehicle. Vehicles, not just vehicle. There's multiple for Death Guard, isn't there? What is it? Mephitic Blight Hauler, the Fetid Bloat Drone, and the... what's the other one? Plague Crawler. Plague Burst Crawler, that's it. I mean, they've got 3 vehicles out of it as well. Although, I mean, Thousand Suns now have access to Zangor, Shamans, and Enlightened, and they can take the Mutilith Vortex Beast, which looks solid, so I suppose it kind of evens out in the end. I'm now excited about the prospect of things that we have absolutely no confirmation for. And this is the thing as well. If you're listening to this going, yeah, yes, this makes sense. Oh god, World Eaters Codex, Emperor's Children Codex. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it does make sense now. It really does make sense that we might see something like that. Especially when you consider that the way that the Death Guard Codex has been done, and the way that the Thousand Suns have kind of been handled, in terms of, what are these legions that have become very well known for basically splitting into warbands and doing whatever the hell they like. How are they now back in strength? How are they back in force? To be honest, the return of a Primarch does big things to draw people back into the legions. So in the case of both the World Eaters and the Emperor's Children, those legions were shattered fairly badly into different warbands. However, if Demon Primarch Fulgrim, oh, I was doing so well as well, but I've mangled it right near the end, came calling, you could reasonably expect a decent number of Emperor's Children to follow. If Angron came calling, you can reasonably expect a decent number of World Eaters to follow. And if it's handled in the same way that it was handled with the Death Guard, where you have these different Vectoriums, but they still fall under the umbrella term of the Death Guard, I could easily see it working. And the thing is, I'm most excited about Emperor's Children, the prospect of it, the idea of it, and the fact that it would make sense now. But World Eaters as well. World Eaters desperately need some love. There's not really that much that I mean, yeah, you've got the Berserkers, but those sculpts are old as hell. They've not aged well. They were done at a time where I feel like Games Workshop were trying to move more into dynamic poses, but they just didn't have it down. You know, you've got some really dynamic models now. You've got some really good-looking kits where it actually looks like the models are doing something. Berserkers don't fit that bill. They don't look like they're really doing anything. They're just sort of static, but in weird poses. Redoing the Berserkers would be quality. If we could get some proper World Eater Terminators on the go as well. I mean, the possibilities they're not endless, but there's so much to support the idea that this could happen. You know, I mean, all they need to do is give the World Eaters and the Emperor's Children the Thousand Sons treatment. I think they will already do that to the Emperor's Children. I would be surprised if it didn't happen with the Emperor's Children, especially with Fulgrim coming back. I would, at a complete, just out of no prior knowledge, no sort of, yes, this is what I've heard. If I had to put some sort of time scale on all this sort of thing, I would say that with the release of the Thousand Sons this early, I would not be surprised, let's put it that way, I would not be surprised if we saw an equivalent Emperor's Children release somewhere towards the tail end of the year, with a World Eaters release following the year after. I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw that. I think they have got the formula down for redoing the Traitor Legions that have ties to specific gods. Like, when I'm not talking about Iron Warriors and Black Legion and World Bearers, Night Lords, I'm not doing that because I don't like them, but they are distinctly undivided in flavour. Whereas, you know, World Eaters, Thousand Sons, Emperor's Children, Death Guard, they are tied to a specific god. That's what we're focusing on here. And I think it's a real possibility. I think we really do have a chance to actually have proper expanded armies, proper codexes for the 4 Traitor Legions that have allied with specific Chaos gods, and it's quality. Question is, what do you think? Do you think it's likely? Do you think we will see releases for Emperor's Children? Do you think we'll see the same for World Eaters? Do you think that now that we've seen a Death Guard Codex and a Thousand Sons Codex, that this is building up to having 4 individual codexes for the 4 aligned Traitor Legions? Or do you think I'm just getting my hopes up and going to be disappointed? Do you reckon the rest are going to stay stuck in the Chaos Codex and we're not going to see that? Be interested to hear what you think. It's not, I don't think it's a theory that's completely out of left field. I don't think it's completely unrelated to what's going on. I think there's a good amount to support it, but I'd be interested to know what you think as to whether it's something that is possible, plausible, definite, or absolutely no chance in hell. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. You can click various things all over the screen. I interchange the thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time and click the stuff every video, and I don't know why I do it. I need to just decide which goes first. Anyway, click stuff if you want to. You don't have to click if you don't want to. Patreon, subscribe, videos, do whatever you like, and I will see you for the next video. Toodaloo.